Alright, today we're going to be learning about ratios and proportions and how to set up equations and solve using both. So first off, we need some definitions here. So a ratio is a comparison of two qualities by division. So a ratio can be written as like A to B, describing how something relates to another thing. It can be written as a fraction or that. So an example says the weekdays to weekends. Alright, the number of weekend days is 2. Number of weekdays is 5. So a ratio should be 2 to 5, or it could be 2 over 5 as well. If you take two ratios and you set them equal to each other, that is what gives you a proportion. How we solve this is what we do, we call it cross multiplying, where we do A times D equals B times C when we solve. So here's our first example. It says there are 182 girls in the sophomore class of 305 students. What is the ratio of girls to boys? So what they want us to do is compare the girls to the boys. We already know that there are 182 girls. Now they do not give us the boys, okay, but they tell us the total amount of students. So we can do 305 minus 182. And I get 123. So the amount of boys is 123. So that could be one way we could write the answer. You could also write it as a fraction if you'd like. Either answer would work. Example 2, it says the ratio of the measures of the angles in triangle JHK is 2 to 3 to 4. Find the measure of each angle. So I'm going to draw myself a picture here of this triangle. J, H, and K. It says the angle measurements are 2 to 3 to 4. So 2 to 3 to 4. And since this is a ratio, we can add an x next to all of those. This is how those angles relate, because the angle itself isn't 2 degrees, it's 2 times some quantity. So now if you think of that, what do we know about the angles in a triangle? Well, we know the angles in a triangle equal 180, so I can say 2x plus 3x plus 4x equals 180. I can combine like terms. I've got 9x equals 180, divide by 9, and I get x equals 20. But that's not what they want. They want us to find the measures of each angle, so I plug that back in. So the measure of angle J, 2 times 20 is 40 degrees. The measurement of angle H, 2 times 3 is 60 degrees. And the measurement of angle K, 4 times 20 is 80 degrees. Okay, so just because we get x does not mean we can stop. Example 3 is more just working on the algebra skill of cross multiplying here. They want us to solve for x. So this, what I'll do is I'm going to rewrite this and make them both ratios. So the first one's already a ratio, x plus 22 over x plus 2 equals, meaning you make 3 into a ratio or a fraction. You can always put it over 1 in order to achieve that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. I'm going to take x plus 22 and times it by 1. X plus 22 times 1 equals, and then do x plus 3, or x plus 2 times 3. And from here, we're going to solve. I'm going to distribute this 1. When I distribute the 1, nothing really changes there. I get x plus 22. I'm going to distribute the 3, so I get 3x plus 6. And from here, we're going to solve. I'm going to subtract the 6 over and subtract the x over. So I divide by 2, and I get x equals 8. All right, here's our word problem. So from the word problem, we're going to figure out what ratios they provide to us and then create a proportion, cross multiply, and solve. It says in a basketball game, the home team was down by 9 points at the end of the game. So clearly the home team lost. They only scored 6 points for every 7 points the visiting team scored. What was the final score of the game? So think of the initial thing they give us. The initial ratio they give us is 6 to 7. So for the home team compared to the away team, we scored 6 points for every 7 points they scored. And they give us more information. They know that we know that the home team was down by 9 points. So we were down by 9 points compared to the away team's score. Once we have that, we're going to set these equal to it, and this is going to be the problem that we are going to solve. And how we're going to solve it is with cross multiplying. So I'm going to do 6 times x, 6 times x, 7 times x minus 9, And we're going to head and solve. 6 times x is 6x. Distribute that 7. I got 7x minus 63. I'm going to subtract that 7x over, so I get negative x equals negative 63. I get x equals 63. So that means the away team, that's where that x is, away team scored 63. And that means the home team was 9 less than that, so 63 minus 9 is 54. So that was the final score of our game. All right, last one here. We're solving for k, so again, we're working on those algebra skills. So we're going to cross multiply. The great thing is both these are already in proportions. So I'm going to say 3x, or k plus 3 times k minus 2. K plus 3 times k minus 2 equals 3 times 8. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and FOIL. So I've got k times k, which is k squared. K times negative 2, which is negative 2k. 3 times k, 3k. 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. Over here, 3 times 8 gives me 24. So looking at this problem, and when we see a k squared and a k, we're thinking we're going to have to factor. In order to factor, it has to equal 0, and we have to combine some like terms here. So first off, I'm going to combine my like terms. And I'm going to subtract that 24 over. And now we have to factor. Give myself a little bit more room to factor here. In order to factor, it has to equal 0, which we did. We have to pull out GCF. There are no GCFs here. We're going to make our parentheses. First off, what times what gives you k squared? And it's k and k. And now we're looking for multiples of 30, or of negative 30, that will combine somehow to 1. So let me think of the factors of 30. I've got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. 4 doesn't go into 30. 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6. I think that's probably about it. So looking for one of those combinations that would somehow combine to 1. I don't think 1 and 30 will. I don't think 2 and 15, 3 and 7 won't, but 5 and 6 will. If I want to make that into positive 1, okay, I want the 6 to be positive and the 5 to be negative. So I would do negative 5 plus 6. All right, I get that positive 1. Now that we factor, we're going to set them both equal to 0. And we're going to solve for k. I'm going to add 5 over here. So k equals 5. And then subtract that 6 over. So k equals negative 6. In this instance, both these answers would work because this problem, I can plug in either and it'd be okay. Unlike our word problems where we usually cancel out the negative.